Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Hall. I am the Partner Success Center Director for the Asia-Pac region at Westcon-Comstor. And I'm very pleased to be presenting today at our Security and Observability event, Solutions on AWS from Westcon. So I'm going to take a few minutes just to run through the agenda for today and to give you a bit of a few highlights of what you can expect over the next few hours. So first of all, we've got a variety of speakers from a variety of our vendor community. Cloud Checker, followed by F5, HashiCorp, Palo Alto, Sumo Logic, Checkpoint, Mirantis, Cisco, and myself throughout the day. And we're doing it a little bit differently this time. The first two presentations, the short presentation from Westcon and the presentation from AWS, is for the entire group here today. Then we're going to break into two streams. There's going to be a sales and commercial stream for the sales folks, and a technical stream for the technical folks. And there'll be different topics, obviously, depending on the role that you have in the organization. So we'll be running two streams. Towards the end of the day, we'll then bring it back together to a single stream, and that will be where I'll cover off various routes to market with Westcon for the solutions that you see today. And we'll also cover the best part of the day, I think, for many of you, which will be the prize giving. And we'll run a post-event survey, and I'll cover some follow-up actions. So with that in mind, what I'd like to do is just take a moment. To the right of your screen, you should be able to see an area where you can provide feedback and comments. And also, there is an area where we'd like to, I guess what we'd like to try and do is get some participation from you all. So what I'd like to do is invite you to participate in a word cloud. I'd like to see where everybody is from today. We've got several countries attending the event. So if I can invite you to do that, if you can fill in your details to the right and then put where you're from. You can either add your city or just vote. I can see we've got quite a few people calling from home, which is good, and Auckland, which is also good. Let's see where else we've got. What other cities do we have where people are attending? Okay, Auckland seems to be a little ahead. Well, we've got Auckland, Australia, we've got Sydney, and we've got Singapore. So no surprises there. That's good. We'll come back to that a little bit later. What I'd also like to do is talk to you a little bit about the prize giving. So we're actually we've got 3 prizes today, which I'll show in a second. But to be part of the draw for the prizes, we'll need you to submit your email address and your name, and then we'll be running a spin and win for each of the 3 sessions. So what I'd suggest there is if you want to be part of that, please complete your details and attend the day. Make sure that you're around for the final event for the spin and win. But I just caution you, what will happen is if you're lucky enough to win, your name will come up. So do make sure that you're happy for your name to be visible. If not, perhaps don't add yourself to the draw. Okay, so in terms of the prizes, for the sales stream, there'll be a Fitbit Versa. For the tech stream, we've got a Jabra Elite. And for the overall draw, there is a Bose SoundLink Revolve 2. So great prizes. We know it's a significant commitment of time, so we encourage you to stay as long as you can. If you need to drop out to take a call or something like that, please come back into the session, and please make sure you're around for the final part. Okay, so for the next probably 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to talk about the reseller opportunity. The reason that we're running this session today, and I guess In terms of preparing for the talk today, I had a look at some of the more recent reports that I get access to from IDC and Analysys Mason, and the numbers and the details that I'm going to talk to over the next few minutes come from those sources that have been gathered over the last 2 to 3 months. And I think the most telling thing is that despite COVID and despite the challenges we've had in our industry and worldwide over the last 2 years, despite this, there's still been a 33% increase in infrastructure as a service and platform as a service over that period, up to $113 billion. And IDC predicts the growth to be $401 billion by 2025. So that's significant growth over a reasonable period of time, almost 29% compound annual growth rate. As part of that, Analysys Mason are citing that security managed service growth to be $35 billion by 2025. Now, I guess as a result of that, you tend to think to yourself, okay, so why is that? And the assessment is that due to the increasing requirements of security, and it doesn't seem that there's a day that goes by where there's not some high-profile case where there's been some unintended security limitation exposed. But there is a definite lack of in-house capabilities in our customer base. And what that means is that customers are reaching out to the channel, they're reaching out to their reseller partners, and they're looking for guidance, they're looking for a subject matter expert, they're looking for trusted advisors. And this is what we're beginning to see is a trend towards managed services in this vein. So we think that this is one of the key areas where there's an opportunity over the next few years, and something that we want to work on together with you in terms of building capability across our reseller community. Now, in terms of spend, another interesting prediction is in terms of cybersecurity strategy. And as you can see from the top of the chart, if I can draw your attention to the top of the chart, it's the area where there's the greatest potential increase in 21 and 22. So 64% of respondents are considering an increase in spend of between 1% and 20% during this year and next. And that's significant, right? That's exactly in the area that we're talking about today. And almost 50% are expecting to increase their spend in public cloud. Hence the event. Obviously, Westcon has got an APAC-wide reseller community in cloud, and today a significant area of specialization for us is in security through our reseller community. One of the other things that is interesting is how on-prem is declining. In terms of, it's reasonably telling in terms of yellow and orange further down the page that 27% of the respondents were expecting to spend, a reduction of 20% over, the 21-22 period. And that's, again, somewhat unsurprising given some of the challenges that we have seen in logistics and being able to move, goods, services, and equipment between countries. So, from our perspective, we see this as a fantastic opportunity for the market, and we're strategically aligned and ready to embrace this with our reseller partners. I guess there's a few other added benefits. The good news with cloud services and with software that supports cloud services is that we're not in a situation where we're going to find delays in deliveries, delays in getting equipment to site, or in back orders, right? So in a time when all of those things are logistical challenges are pressing, that's not an area where we have concerns. In fact, towards the end of today, one of the topics in the final talk will be about some of the new procurement routes to market and how Westcon are aiming to make those frictionless for our reseller partners. Okay, the final slide in terms of these pieces is the we were seeing cybersecurity leading cloud investments. So the two largest growth areas are cybersecurity protection and cloud-based infrastructure and applications. And what's telling about that is that, you know, there's greater than 47% in terms of expected respondents expected to spend more over the coming year. And although there's a number of different areas where there's growth, those two areas, cloud-based infrastructure and apps and cybersecurity protection, is exactly the two areas where we're looking to develop the opportunity with our market. So I guess the key points are, you know, we're strategically aligned in these areas, the growth areas of our business. And that's important because everything we do and every dollar of revenue that we recognize comes from our relationship with our partner community and our channel community. Everything we do is 100% channel focused. And today, $4.10 of our revenues come from security. And what we're looking to do is develop that into our cloud business and to assist our cloud partners to develop those capabilities and those practices. So with that, what I will do is pause for now. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, but just before I do, the last slide that piqued my interest was when we were looking at, you know, some of the key areas where there was misconfigurations in infrastructure as a service environments. And I guess one of the key things here is, what are the takeaways? What are the outcomes that we're looking at from today? And with every one of the speakers that we have from the different vendors that we have speaking, there will be some specific takeaways. And I guess one of the key things to consider is, in terms of the environments that we're involved with and the environments that we're building, are we doing the simple things correctly? And these top four areas, permission control, group policies, security rules, and encryption, are four relatively simple areas where a significant difference can be made. So with that, what I'd like to do is introduce and hand over to our speaker from AWS today. Our speaker is Dean Lawrence, and Dean is the Senior Partner Development Specialist at AWS. Dean's topic is building effective security practices with AWS. And with that, I'd like to welcome Dean. Hello, Dean.
Morning, Jason. Thank you. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Sure can.
Perfect. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to present this morning to your partner community. Good afternoon if you're in New Zealand. Good morning, I should say, if you're in Sydney, or even earlier morning if you're in Singapore. So thanks for joining. As Jason mentioned, my name's Dean Lawrence. I've been with AWS about 2 years, working with our consultancy and technology security partners, ultimately to help our customers be more secure when they adopt services within AWS. What I wanted to walk you through today was just give you a bit of a brief background of the conversations, number one, that we have with customers around cloud security in general, where some of their challenges exist, what the opportunity for our partner community is, and then number two, where we see partners having success in terms of building out successful cloud security practices to offer complementary services around our portfolio or our third-party technology providers, which we have strong integrations with across the AWS infrastructure. So I thought I'd start with a pretty simple question. It may be bleedingly obvious, but why are your customers moving to the cloud? From our perspective, there's a number of reasons. I think the two most common are the two here on the slide. Really, customers are looking to help reduce their operational costs that they've had previously in kind of legacy and on-premise infrastructure, And the second one, and probably more important to their business, is to allow them to innovate quickly, to allow them to not have infrastructure, I guess, crush their dreams, if you like, in terms of the routes they take to market for the applications or the services that they serve their end customers with. And to realize those benefits, customers really must consider what they need to do in order to get there, build out a roadmap for success, if you like. And one of the biggest concerns and considerations still continues to be security. So security in order to realize the benefits there around innovation and also reduction of operational costs. And specifically to ensure that their cloud environment is secure if they operate within a regulated industry, that it's compliant, and to remove security as a potential roadblock either for initial adoption of cloud services or for future adoption of cloud services into potentially regulated applications. So customers, I would argue, are largely familiar with how to secure their traditional and legacy tin and on-premise environments, but there's a big education piece that we see our customers still need to go through with regards to cloud security in particular, I should say. So from our perspective, we see cloud skills being scarce. We build we call skills guilds with our customers and also our partners to help them upskill on the fundamentals of cloud and the fundamentals of AWS services. On the security side of the fence, if you've worked in security for any period of time, you'd know, you read the media that's almost daily around cybersecurity skill shortages in the industry. And if you put the delta of those two worlds together, cloud security skills is an even rarer subset of skills that exist within our customers, within even AWS, and within our partner network as well. So the skills and expertise and kind of knowledge gap is really where the opportunity exists for AWS partners to provide our customers with expertise and a safe pair of hands to bridge those knowledge gaps when customers are picking up an application or a workload from their on-premise environment and putting it within a cloud environment. So we've supported thousands of customers on their journey to utilizing AWS to help realize the two benefits I mentioned before. Some of the key observations that we've gained over that time are that cloud and digital transformation really needs to be driven from the executive. Without senior leadership support and drive, cloud transformation will hit roadblocks. So this executive sponsorship is also true across the security organization. Many times we see customers moving at speed without the support of the security team that can really help them underpin their cloud journey whilst building in the appropriate security and compliance controls from the ground up. And the problem here is not necessarily a technology one, it's a cultural one. Security has traditionally been seen in an organization as the department of no, ultimately in the way of business progress. But what we find is that by including and educating the security organization early in the piece, customers can embed that, the right security and compliance controls to meet and even exceed their risk profiles while still achieving that pace of innovation that the business ultimately desires. So what used to be a trade-off between moving fast or staying secure can now be both when customers embrace cloud services. And we hear that from a number of customers across the board. So this education piece is essential from the get-go. It's really important that you help your customers understand how to go about their cloud security journey as close to that initial migration as possible. And that really helps alleviate either potential risks that they might encounter as they continue to move further in the cloud and or re-architecture that may be having to take place down the track to embed and better embed security compliance into their roadmap and into their architecture. So what do those observations mean for partners, especially when it comes to cloud security? So the opportunity of helping customers in their cloud transformations is still very much in its infancy. According to Andy Jassy, who's Amazon's CEO, 97% of enterprise IT is still on premises. So if your customer isn't planning on how they transition that infrastructure to cloud now, then they will be either tomorrow or the day after, let's argue. And the AWS platform really has been designed from the ground up with flexibility in mind. Going back to that point on innovation, we call our customers builders. We allow our customers to build with flexibility to create infrastructure to ultimately serve the markets that they want to in terms of their customers. Think about disruption of industry in the taxi space with Uber and streaming services like Netflix, etc. But increasingly what we're seeing from our customers, especially our enterprise customers, is they want to consume off-the-shelf cloud offerings made up of a mixture of AWS services to form that overall solution delivered by their partner network. So a great example of that might be cloud security operations, helping them understand incident triage, detection, and then response utilizing cloud services and third-party technologies. So to my point earlier on executive alignment and sponsorship, use your position with your customers to educate them on their cloud journey. Benefit from the wealth of training material, white papers, reference architectures, etc. that we make available, really to handhold your customers on their cloud security journey. And lastly, what we're seeing is partners utilize AWS and third-party security tooling to help our customers conduct both pre and post security assessments to ascertain security posture before migration, security posture after migration, and also look at that kind of cost-benefit analysis from a return on investment perspective once they do move to cloud. So where should you begin in discussing cloud security with your customers? Every time we chat with customers about security in the cloud, we start here with the AWS shared responsibility model. If you're not familiar with it, put very simply, there's a number of responsibilities that AWS take on behalf of the customer in the provision of the services under our catalog. We call this security of the cloud or below the line responsibilities. And likewise, customers still retain responsibility for the services that they choose to consume from AWS, and importantly, how they configure those services to meet their business objectives and security needs. So we call that security in the cloud or above the line responsibilities. And there's a number of ways that we as AWS help our customers measure, control, and understand their responsibilities above the line. A great example of that is when customers use S3 buckets in the delivery of our simple storage solution, S3. Customers can turn on S3 to store objects. By default, those buckets or the objects within those buckets are not made publicly available. So no one external to that AWS account has access to those objects. Now, customers can make the decision to make the context of that bucket available. And there's a number of ways we can help support them if they're, to Jason's point earlier, making accidental misconfigurations around that bucket. You can use services like AWS Config, GuardDuty for S3, Security Hub, Trusted Advisor, etc., to both alert on when a bucket is made open or automatically remediate the closure of that bucket. So that's a really good example of assistance above the line. But given the responsibilities that customers retain in this model, partners play a huge role in helping our customers with the portion I've circled here, which is their responsibility. And those roles can be in education and awareness, helping our customers really understand the nuances of this model and the decisions they need to make when they're embracing this technology. In the assessment and provision of secure configurations, wrapping services or implementation around the services we make available via our native portfolio. And lastly, in the provision of managed services, to manage or to take on behalf of customers the obligations that they carry in this model. So what do our customers typically ask for? And there's normally a lot. I've narrowed it down to a few. The first category is really around cloud security strategy and framework. Help me define how I get into the cloud more deeply whilst embedding security and compliance from the ground up. And culture and process here is as, if not more important than the technology layer. They want to really understand how they can move with alignment with existing AWS best practice frameworks like the Cloud Adoption Framework and the Well-Architected Framework, both of which have specific security pillars. On the migrations front, secure governance at scale. Help me enforce guardrails on all my accounts. Help me set what good looks like from the baseline up. And as I continue to move applications and workloads into the cloud, help me scale that with sufficient security control under the hood. Help me centralize security services. Therefore, helping me migrate and scale quickly, but also securely. And lastly, I'll touch on here is the reappropriation, or what I call the reappropriation of on-premise security tools to cloud workloads. You're probably already working with a lot of technology partners in the security domain, a lot of which have existing integrations with AWS services across the board. helping customers understand what fits where in a cloud environment, how they sweat existing assets, how they uplift investments in licensing models with security vendor X or security vendor Y, how they protect hybrid environments with those tools, for example. This is a great conversation to have with your customers where you're potentially already embedded on the technology layer. I'll touch on this as a last point and a kind of takeaway slide. When I speak with some of our new security partners or even our non-security partners around building cloud security practices, I always concentrate on these three core elements. And this isn't designed as an exhaustive list. It's designed to provide a bit of insight into some offerings you might want to consider within your own organizations. Firstly, in the assessment phase, providing an overview of the security posture of a customer's environment, either post or pre or both their cloud migration. In implementation, really assisting customers in remediating gaps that you've identified potentially in the assessment phase. Providing services and solutions which sets baselines for security compliance within their AWS environment. And lastly, management. Helping customers consistently manage the security posture of their environments and applications, and notifying them or even automating the workflow around response once something bad happens or once something deviates from best practice. In the assessment phase, we recommend the security partners make use of our well-architected partner program. This really helps customers assess their workloads at any given point in time. And from a security perspective, it can be leveraged by our partners to help our customers understand where misconfiguration might have existed, where infrastructure that's been deployed deviates from best practice on a security perspective. And from there, partners can then provide statements of work for the remediation of those identified gaps. So it's a nice little lead generation tools, if you want to view it like that, for additional consultancy work. Broadly speaking, as a broad brush statement, I would say the biggest gap we see our customers struggle with, where our security-focused partners can assist, is in what I'll call the operationalization, I always struggle with that word, of the tools available to them in cloud environments. So deploying tools, either AWS native or third-party security tools, is one thing, but customers understanding and appropriately acting upon the alerts that those tools generate is really where our partners can help the customers buy down risk. A lot of our customers struggle, even with our own native tools, in terms of what do I do with the alert that's been generated, for example, by AWS Guard Duty? How do I appropriately act upon that? Or how do I get additional context around that alert that's been generated? Finally, AWS Marketplace. It's a centralized market for our customers to streamline the procurement of both AWS and also our third-party products and services. Customers leverage AWS Marketplace to remove the friction of procurement processes and to draw down spend from their AWS enterprise discount programs. If you have existing relationships with security vendors and via Westcon, you can look at methods such as what we call CPPO, our Consultancy Partner Private Offer program, to continue in the resale model that you've been familiar with in terms of on-premise environments. So if resale of a third party or even AWS security technologies is of interest via Marketplace, which our customers are consuming, highly recommend you have a chat with Jason and the Westcon team around how you'll be able to draw down upon that. Finally, we're here to help. There's numerous programs within the Amazon Partner Network to help you be successful. If you've got any further questions, need any further information, please reach out. One of the things I'll recommend from an upskilling perspective, if you need to know either where to start with a customer conversation, or if you'd like to get deeper in terms of how AWS views cloud security and how we talk to our customers about cloud security and the topics that we approach when it comes to cloud security, there's a wealth of knowledge that you can benefit from which address those topics. Google the AWS Security Learning Path. I'll try to provide it via a resource on the back of this, but AWS Security Learning Path is where you can look at both free online training and also more in-depth classroom-led courses, if that's of appetite to you as well, to really understand how to get under the hood in terms of cloud security conversations with your customers, and even look to influence the cloud security practices that you might like to build in the three pillars that I've mentioned today across assessment, implementation, and management. So thanks, Jason. Appreciate you having me along. Thanks very much for letting me spend 20 minutes walking through, and back to you.
Great, thanks, Dean, and thanks for your time today. Okay, so what we're going to do now, everybody, is move into the 2 sessions. So there's going to be the sales stream, as I mentioned, for the commercial folk, and the technical stream for the technical folk. Right now, I'll be emceeing in the commercial stream, and one of my colleagues, Pallav, will be emceeing in the technical stream. And just in terms of how you get there and what you should be seeing, let me just quickly review what's going to be in each of the streams. So right now, we've got Cloud Checker starting in both sales and technical. So Sarah, who is the Senior Manager of Distribution Partners, will be talking to us about building a security compliance offering with Cloud Checker in the sales stream. And in the technical stream, her colleague Eric Morrissey, Senior Sales Engineer, will be providing a security compliance demonstration within Cloud Checker. So what you should be able to see right now in front of you is a couple of options, one to go into the sales stream and the other to go into the technical stream. So with that, I would invite you to make a choice, and you'll either see Sarah or Eric, with Pallav or myself at the other side.